Hello everybody and welcome back to the pYanodons playthrough. It's Fantastic Mr. Ghost. We were busy last episode. We as in me. For your viewing pleasure, I spun up MK03 trees and MK03 sap trees and fish. Whoa, a space whale! And don't forget we spun up the starch and we upgraded the fiberboard from a 1x to a 12x recipe. That starch allowed me to spin up the deluxe fish food spaghetti monster. And of course that allowed us to get the MK03 fish finally spun up. And as I expected, the good alien samples took a hit. And this is because of the bee venom. Bees! So I spent a little time here, but in between episodes, to upgrade the apiaries to MK02, which allows for, I think, 2 or 3 more bee module slots. And the MK02 Archwood modules are on the docket, but a little later. Now that I have the MK03 fish, I came over here and upgraded the modules in the fish builds. And while I was at it, I updated that fish egg recipe, which includes seaweed. And now I'm making 35 instead of 30 fish eggs from the fish. What's great about this is I have more fish that will go towards production and not reproducing the fish eggs. Alright, let's upgrade these fish farms. Currently, the craft speed is 3, and now it's 4. And that's all she wrote. So now I have a fully upgraded fish farm, MK02 with MK03 fish. Woohoo! With the additional seaweed I'm consuming in the fish, I decided, well, let me redo the seaweed build. It's been a long time coming anyway. I reworked the entire build because now I have MK02 seaweed crop facilities with MK03 seaweed modules. I spun these up a long time ago in a prior episode. I don't know how long ago it was. And they're not too bad. I'll cover up what needs to be done with the seaweed in a tutorial episode later on. I used the max rate calculator mod to determine how an upgrade will affect the outputs and inputs. I hotbarred it here. So click on the button here, max rate calculator, and your cursor changes now. The tool works from map view. That is so nice. I'm going to focus on this build right here, this side at least, and drag over just the 10 crop facilities. When you release your mouse button, you get a max rate calculator box in the upper left-hand side here. What I want to know is, what's the output? As you can see, it's 29.7 and some change. When you upgrade to MK02 or 3 or 4, or you upgrade your modules, you need to keep an eye on this. I had to rebuild this because I had 11 times 2 crop facilities on one red belt. Now with the MK02 and the extra MK03 modules, 10 crop facilities will fill one red belt. Using max rate calculator again, I can drag over all of these facilities, all 20. And you'll see that I need 5.9, let's say 6 limestone. I can drag over the limestone now, and you can see that I have 4.8, so I'm a little short. And that's why I wanted to do this now on screen, because I couldn't remember how many I needed when I set this up. So I'll have to add a couple more. I can drag over the entire build right now, and you'll see that the net rate is down by 1.1. I like to take it piece by piece if I can, and then I'll drag over the entire build and get a general idea. So I'll have to add probably another 1 or 2 limestone generators or put speed and prod into one of the machines. I prefer efficiency, so we'll add a machine later on off screen. I reworked the loading here. I used to have 3 stops. Now I have just 2. And I want to allow for a full train to be loaded here. I still put counters on these because some builds don't require a lot of seaweed. Now let's look at the tree build. You'll notice that I have icons here with the trees and the moss MK03. So this is how I'm keeping track of what I have here. And let me tell you, there's a lot going on in some of these builds. So this is very helpful. Now another module that I upgraded was the moss to MK03. I spun those up a while back in an episode. So just like the seaweed MK03, you can look back on the prior episodes and maybe find it there. But I plan on doing some tutorials again on all these modules. Let's use our fancy max rate calculator to see what's going on here. 7 fastwood forestries produce 23 logs a second. So that's almost a red belt. Well, not really. Now let's take a look at our wood processing units here. The requirement is 13, almost 14, so I can almost double this thing. And notice it's 75 just on the 6 that I have here. So that's 2.5 red belts of wood. This sucker can produce a lot of wood, so I'll come around later on and I'll add capacity to this. Let's take the whole build and see what's going on. Looks like my muddy sludge is negative. I'm not sure why. I think what happened here is when I upgraded the moss farms to MK02 with the MK03 modules, I didn't address the washers and the soil extractors. The other issue here is the seedlings. It looks like I'm down there too, so I'll have to address that. Once that's done, we'll have plenty of wood to go around. Alright, let's head back to the hub. I got some work ahead of me, so I'll have to watch my video and start a to-do list. Oh boy. We got a lot of work ahead of us, folks. I've been in between, well, waiting for the fish MK03 was a real pain. So here's what I was doing in the meantime. I have all of the creatures that we're going to need to spin up here. Yeah. These are all the upgrades. Now, the exception here is I have a fog knot, and these little guys have they're like a giraffe with a gas bladder on their head, and they're pretty cool. I want to set them up because we could get some gas from them. I think carbon dioxide is the first one, but later on we get a lot more gas available. So I'm really looking forward to setting these up to save on some, tough gas to make. But in this episode, we're going to spin up the Xyhiphoes MK02s. We're ready to do it. Running the fish MK03 provided a lot of MK02 fish and eggs. I have 842 here along with 287 MK02 eggs. I set this machine up here to convert the MK02 eggs to MK02 fish. I set up a slaughterhouse here to slaughter the MK01 fish into fish oil. I have fish requested to this build here, this area, and if I run short on fish, I can supplement them from the MK01 fish build that, I have for fish oil and all those other ones. So these MK02 fish will be for the Xyhiphoes once we get our Xyhiphoes MK02s. A long time ago, I spun these Xyhiphoes up, and this is the first case where we actually bioengineer an animal instead of finding something in the wild. So we need poor alien sample, biosample, cDNA, Vrau cocoons, 1,000 water, which isn't a problem, and fetal serum. The Xyhiphoes codex isn't too bad. Let's take a look at that. This requires a lamp, green wire, simple circuits, and glass. The crustacean DNA samples require a logistics science pack, generic Earth DNA samples, and a zipper codex. The generic Earth DNA samples recipe is here, and it requires automation science pack. I really like how they're including the science packs in the creature spin-ups. Here's the bio sample, and I thought I'd bring that up here because I forgot to do it last episode. And the bio container requires lead and titanium, steel, and glass. Pretty crazy stuff. The bio sample comes later once you get all your smelting columns set up in the beginning game. I did this a long time ago. Here's the zipper codex just for reference, and it's just tin cable, lamp, simple circuit board, and glass. I think it's pretty cool that we have to make codexes and all these DNA things. It really adds a lot of fun to the game. Here's the fetal serum. We need glassware, guts, and silver plate. Now, I forgot to cover the glassware. If you don't know, it's pretty involved. The rubber stopper is an entire industry in itself. In fact, I would say it's like 3 industries in one. So glassware is not easy, but there are better recipes that I have to implement for the molten glass, and that'll be later. So that's how you make your first Xyhiphoes. Now you need, I think, about 2 or 3 modules, I can't remember, in order to start the machines up. This is what you need to start up a Xyhiphoes larva process, and the module goes into the breeding complex here. So you need the filtration media, fish food, sap, phytoplankton, and pressurized water, because I guess these Xyhiphoes are really deep in the ocean. It kicks out wastewater, which is really nice to make urea. This is the recipe I'm using currently. It requires albium and blood meal. Albium is just blood spun in a centrifuge, and blood meal uses fiberboard and blood. I think this is the recipe I'm using for the Xyhiphoes MK01s right now. I'm rendering them and getting the blood out of them. Now there is a technology upgrade that I think I implemented to increase the yield on the Xyhiphoes. So we're going to run down to the Xyhipho build that I have and set this machine up here. This is the reproductive complex. And again, we're going to have to let this set this and let it run for a while until we get a Xyhipho MK02. It looks like we only need one Xyhipho MK02 to generate 2 larvae and the 30% chance to get an extra one. And then we get Xyhipho larva out of this, just a regular one. Now we got a creature chamber for a change. This is kind of interesting. So 2 larvae and some fetal serum, which I have, generate 1 MK02 with the possibility of 1 Xyhipho regular. Going back to the reproductive complex here, we are needing that 30% to hit so we get extra Xyhiphos, MK2s. So needless to say, this will be a long-going process too. So let's go down by the build and set it up. I went ahead and upgraded these Xyhipho pools to MK02, and it allows for an extra module. I also updated the sap extractors, the pressure pumps, water pump, and the breeding complex, along with the slaughterhouses. All right, so the recipe, as I stated before, kicks out the 50% chance for a regular Xyhipho. So I'm going to spin. There we go. That is a regular Xyhipho there. So this one, the inserter, chances are it'll grab it first before the inserter from the belt here. And there we go. All right, I have my set it and forget it set up here. I wired this case to a speaker and the inserter that inserts the Xyhiphos. The speaker is set to activate when the Xyhipho MK02 hits. I'm setting it to greater than or equal to because I might not get down here right away. And if there's 2, then the alarm goes off and, well, you know, I want the alarm to annoy me to come down here. The inserter here is enabled until a Xyhipho is in the case, you know, 1 or more. So it's equal to 0. Enable. I forgot that I need deluxe fish food, so I had to request it here. Not a big deal, just another item in this case for a little while. I just checked and there's no recipe that uses the deluxe fish food and Xyhiphos, so I'll just remove this stuff and repurpose it. Well, I'll be darned, we got ourselves a Xyhipho MK02. Let's go get it. Alright, I turned this inserter here, and I'm going to take my Xyhipho, and I'm going to leave this in just in case. I'm pretty sure I only need 1, as you know, according to that recipe. So, but, you know, let's leave this in here until I'm for sure, and I get a buildup of MK02 Xyhiphos. So let's head up to the bio lab and spin some Xyhiphos up. While I'm traveling to the hub here, I am storyboarding and collecting the machines for the Vrauk quality food. I think it's quality Vrauk food or something like that, to spin up the MK03 Vrauks. That would be the next one I want to tackle, but the food is an insane amount of stuff. We need the Ralasia flowers, Grod flowers, Tufra seeds, agar, and tree seeds, among a bunch of other things. Now, I was running out of MK02 Vrauks, so I set up a system here. I have 323 Vrauk MK02s at this point. I have the case capped here, but I thought I'd just let it run. I'm not too sure what I have it at, but I'll check it later. And the Vrauk level 3s, I think I have to set them up here. I'm not entirely sure. I might use a little bot network to combine everything. Okay, I set up the Xyhipho spin-up location here. And I have a barreling unit for the fetal serum. So let's go ahead and request the fetal serum now. I have the fetal serum right here, and surprisingly it takes speed and prod, so I went ahead and upgraded this machine so that I can do that. This takes, like I said earlier, guts, silver, and the glassware. While the fetal serum is being flown in by bot, we'll go over this mess right here. I'm going to request these items to the Xyhipho breeding complex. Well, this is a first. I don't know what's going on here, but all my blood is gone. I don't know where it went. I'm wondering why I don't have blood meal delivered to the hub there, and I'm scratching my head on this. I don't know what I've been running to not have any blood. Well, it could be what I'm not running. That's the other case too. Now, I do have this urea system here, but I have a overflow valve that kicks off extra blood from this tank below it. So I didn't turn it into blood here. So it's possible. Oh, I think maybe the good alien sample has something to do with this because of the MK03 fish. That might be why. I'll take a look at that later. Okay, now that this requester is set up and I see what the problem is, what I have here is a kickout for the MK02 larva. I have this case limited just in case to one slot. These two inserters here linked to this case are kicking out the MK01 versions of the larva and the Xyhiphoe. This case here will collect the MK02 Xyhiphoes. I'll put an inserter there so that they get exported directly into the breeding complex. While the blood meal is being made, let's take a look at the Naven MK02s. I've had this build set up for quite some time. I don't know how long it's been here, and I totally forgot about it. You need 2 MK02 Navens to get 10 Naven Spore MK02s. Now, I totally forgot about this, but I already did this way back. So I have the spores. I just need the Xyhiphoes. Woohoo! This recipe requires the improved fungal substrate, Naven spores, of course, the fertilizer, and a bunch of water. Now, this is the actual spin-up process. So basically, I just have to let this thing go and collect the Naven MK02s and upgrade the Naven cultures by where I'm making the SAM, the self-assembly monolayer material. All right, I got me some blood meal. What I had to do was, I'm only getting blood from 2 places. One is the AUG rendering, and the other one is the Ulrich rendering for bone meal. So if those 2 don't run, I don't get any blood. Now, the albium, I think the Xyhiphoes depleted my albium and blood meal, because those are the major consumers of that. And it didn't run very much, but it has been running for a little bit. And I don't know, I guess it's the etching solution and all that, because, you know, that I'm using the blood, the Xyhiphoe blood from that. Okay, well, we're ready. Here it is. Bonk! Xyhiphoe MK02 larva. So the trick here is to get the extra Xyhiphoe larvas. Yeah, the creature chamber here is it's just taking the 2 larvae and flipping them into Xyhiphoe MK02s. So the reproductive complex is where you get your yield. So we have to hit that 30% chance is important. That one has to hit. So I have a storage case here that is wired for excess, and I have the inserter set up. The inserter is wired to the steel case, and this inserter will work if the case is greater than 4. That way I can, that's the spillover. Usually you do belt priorities, but because I have bots, you got to do a little different things here. It's kind of fun to work with bots because you have to really be careful. You have to know what their behaviors are, just like belts. So it's kind of fun and challenging. So while that is spinning up, we'll go over the Navens because I didn't go over the MK01 versions or the MK02s. And those are coming now, as soon as we get the spin up here on the Xyhiphoe MK2s. The Navens are also a engineered or bioengineered animal or plant. The same stuff applies here, but we need mushroom DNA samples and a Navens codex. Now, the Navens codex requires a complex circuit board, so it took a while to get to this point. The mushroom DNA sample here oddly needs a wood chest and an automation science pack, which is cool, and then the Faugue codex. And this is the codex for the Faugue. The good alien sample is also an ingredient to science and the fish MK03, so that's a big one too. Boy, oh boy. I was trying to remember where the Navens are used, and yeah, it's used in the SAM ore, but I forgot. It's pyrroline, and we need that for the other material here. So it's back in the process a little bit. Boy, this is going way back. So this is what was farting out my SAM over here. Now here's the recipe for the Navens MK02 Chance. And it requires the fungal substrate guts, the spores, which is easy. It's just a machine that you spin up. You just place this machine down and set the recipe to it. And then it gets the Navens out of the air. Then we got manure and 2 Navens plus the water. I don't remember this, but I can't remember. I guess I trained the manure over. I don't even remember this stuff. So once you get your 0.5%, then you could start this process that we're at now. And here's 2 Navens per 10 spores. And this is where we're at here, where it takes the 10 spores and produces 8 and as much as 12 with a 50% chance for that. The kicker is the Xyhiphoe. Well, now here we are. I've got the Xyhiphoes, and I decided that we'll upgrade the Xyhiphoe modules first, and then we'll kick on the Navens as well. So here we go. I need 72 in total for the Xyhiphoe build. I was checking around all over the base because my kerosene tanks, or the canisters that hold the kerosene, were disappearing. And stupid me, I updated a build that had a small case, and I needed a big case because of the train update that I did. So I forgot that it was a dual stop, and the fuel canisters were unloading in this particular build. So I had 1,700 fuel canisters. So I fixed that problem, and you know, that gave time for the MK02 Xyhiphoes to spin up. So now I turned this inserter intentionally because I didn't want this to start up. And there we go. Oh my god, this is slow. Look at this thing. Yeah, this is gonna take a while. Now, this is an MK01. Oh, I gotta get an MK02, and that'll speed this up. So let me go grab one of those. There we go. Now I gotta go get 3 more modules from the Navens build, but I'll do that in a second. And there we go. Somehow I overestimated the amount of modules I need, so that's good. Now the Xyhiphoe pool's craft speed is 4. Awesome. Let's speed this up a little more now. There we go. Craft speed of 1. That'll help. Alright, I already have 10. This will spin up pretty quick. I need a total of 70 to update what I have at the SAM build. So here we go. Waiting again. Alright, there we go. MK2 Navens Culture with MK02 Navens with a craft speed of 1.42. So hopefully this will fix the problem I was having with the SAM ore, or SAM material, I don't know. And I upgraded the inserters to fast too, because these are going to be a little faster, just to be on the safe side. And there we go. Alright folks, here we are back at the hub. We're going to end it over here by this pile of machinery, these enormous things. Now, the next thing I want to do is the Arkwit MK02s, and here they are. And it needs a iron-enriched moondrop flower. Okay, that's the big one there. And also, mutant enzyme barrel. I'm like, what? What is this mess, right? So here is the iron-enriched moondrop and all that. And I'll go over this next episode, but the mutant enzymes here crack open a whole bunch of things. And I have to do some FNEI research here to find out if I'm going to need this as a trainable item or if I should just do this separately. I'm assuming, yeah, well, I know this here, the propeptides, we're going to need that for later as well. Because remember, we got Pi Science 3 coming up. Now, the Arquids are important like for the venom, which is for good alien sample. And the good alien sample helps spin up other creatures. But this is an enormous amount of work to get the Arquid MK02s. So, what I've found is that in order to do the enzymes, I think, yeah, I think it's the enzymes here. We need a dingrit. And a dingret requires bedding and a caged scondrix. So we have to spin up a scondrix, and I don't know where I have that. Might be here? No. What is this thing here? Oh, that's a Dilmo. Here, I think this is it. Yeah, scondrix. So I have to spin these up. This doesn't look too bad. So maybe we'll work on this next episode. I'll spin these up in the lab area here, you know, because I like to have the modules available in the general area so I can, you know, move them around. And also, we're going to need this to spin up the arachnids and the other animals. So I'll do this locally in the bio hub over here. So we'll work on that next episode. I'll come up with a plan and we'll hit it then. So I want to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this crazy amount of stuff we're doing here. I'm having a blast. I'm having a lot of fun. So and bedding is going to be a thing. Grods, we're going to need grods. Oh my God, it's crazy. So the base is going to get a little bit bigger because bedding we want to train. It's needed for multiple animals, and you get better yield on augs and other animals with bedding. So we're going to have to, you know, have to redo all the stuff for each one of these animals to get the, you know, the better stuff. All right, I'll be scrambling my brain in between episodes. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out.